so happy to have you here with me this week on the Tracy L Clark Show. Every week we are live. I have to remind people that we are always live. You can call in today too if you'd like, 1-800-930-2819. Always write the number down just to make sure I don't forget. I know it off by heart, but sometimes it's the days. Today's topic is actually on vulnerability and emotions. But I want to say, if you didn't catch the Beyond the Ordinary show with John Burgos that I was on, and he's going to be a guest on our show, you'll get to hear more from him. Really incredible. You get to hear some more of the shiftings and activations. I highly encourage you to go check it out. And it was so much fun. We met so many new people and just around the world and really got to do some great activations. One of the things I do sometimes, it kind of freaks people out, but it's really good for your body, and you'll hear it live on that show if you missed it, was where moving over physical organs in the body, which you can do energetically. And you'll hear the lady, she had that shift. And one of the big things about what I love right now about this topic about being vulnerable is you'll also hear what I love about callers like you when you do call in. And it's hard sometimes to say, hey, I need this help. And I really, really am out there. And because when you look at North America, especially now, our other listeners outside of the US and Canada, which we have quite a few around the world, you don't suffer from this as much. But yes, vulnerability is there in different ways, but this numbing of our emotions and who we are and why we're getting somewhere. And look at in North America, like just look at how much numbing is going on. And I see it all the time. I see it in the city where I am. People, they're either on over medicated or they're numbing with food, or you may find you're numbing with alcohol. And it's interesting because all those emotions that need to come out. So, and pharmaceuticals, other things that people numb with. There's a huge issue right around the world with even narcotics and stuff in many different forms. What people don't understand energetically is when you're numbing your emotions like that, you're numbing the good, the bad, and the indifferent. So you're numbing your joy, your happiness, your vitality of life. And also, you open up energies. People don't realize this because you're an energetic body. You're just not your mind trying to figure out your emotions. And your energetic body also allows energies to come in to keep feeding these more addictive behaviors to numb down pain or suffering. And a lot of times in life, we're afraid to be vulnerable. We're afraid to say, hey, this is what's really going on. Now, there's a difference, I'll tell you, about just airing all your dirty laundry. And you got to be discerning on how that is. But when you're going to people within your space, it might be, your husband or your wife or, your colleagues that you work with, your boss that you want to open up to and say, hey, this is what's really going on and I need some help. And maybe that's why my work is not up to speed, but I'm aware of it and I'm going to move through. We're so as humans, what I notice right now is we're craving always for connection. It's why our community is built the way we are, because you need to be connected. You can't be isolated in your home. You can't be disconnected. We're not built that way as souls. We're built to be connected. We're built to engage with each other. We're built to really love and feel love and joy. And because we've been so overwhelmed with shame and guilt, and if I speak up for what I want and not getting the reaction you want, one of the things I learned about vulnerability was a lot of times when I did step out of my comfort zone, because I never wanted anyone to know the full extent of the pain I was in physically or emotionally, mentally, and it was hard. And when I did start to open up, a lot of times the doors were closed in your face, right? Like I remember the time when I wrote this in my newsletter recently, if you were able to see it, where I was talking about when you want to open up and say, hey, this is something I require. And I was talking about money and how I got to my last $1,000 in the bank and I had finally asked for some help. And it was hard for me. It was so hard to open up because I didn't want people to think that I was vulnerable or weak, or I couldn't create my own stuff or couldn't achieve what I was looking for. And the two people closest to me, I asked and said, hey, little help. The response I got was, well, you're a grown up, you'll figure it out. The other response was, you're really strong, you'll figure it out. Now, if anybody's heard that, you just want to I shouldn't say it, but flip the bird and say, leave me alone. Like, you're really strong. That's probably the worst thing energetically you could say to somebody. You're strong, you'll figure it out. Because normally when someone's coming to you to say, I really need some help, they're being vulnerable, they're opening up. And when you're really able to look at the vulnerability of all the emotions and say, I am good enough and I am here and I'm perfect the way I am. And that doesn't mean you're going to fit in every crowd. It doesn't mean you're going to open up to everybody, but to start to say to your husband or your wife, like, this is what I require. Like, I love you and I want to have more joy and happiness, not pain and struggle. And this is what I require. And to really feel each other or feel yourself. Like, so often, like I said, there's so much numbing going on in the world. We're not even feeling ourselves anymore. And when we're not feeling ourselves, what's happening? Like, there's just this massive disconnection. So when you really start to get connected to your body and what you require, and you realize that vulnerability is such an amazing gift. And please note, there's a difference between vulnerability and whining. So what energetically, because this is about the energy of your body, when you get into being vulnerable, it's like, I really need some help, or I've gone through this trauma and I don't, like, I have shame and I have guilt still around it, but I want to move through it. I want to come and let those emotions go and really step into more joy and happiness. So ask yourself right now, thank you, God, where were you blocking yourself where you weren't able to feel any of those other emotions? Because if you don't feel them all, you isolate the good ones too. So you get stuck in those other ones saying, I am not enough, or I have shame, or I have guilt. And quite often it is hard to be vulnerable because you don't want the judgment and you don't want people to think you're weak, or, you have these stories that are playing. It's different levels as well of vulnerability. I know for me, I put my story out there. I put things out there so people can understand that I have been where you are. And when we can relate there and we can say, yeah, you can also use that to have great compassion and humility to help another soul. And it does, it can hit you. Like, I know last summer I had put some, on one of my Facebook, there was this, I have a couple of pages depending on what program you're in with me. And, to help people all the time. And on my page, this woman out of nowhere had started to just attack me. Like, and it was already a pretty big growth period that week for me, like human. I go through my growth too. And she's like, that couldn't have happened. And if that had happened, the family would know about it. That's not true. And it was really horrible. And I got overwhelmed. And I thought, wow, should I be this vulnerable, letting people know? And I looked at the name and I was like, I know that, but I probably met you once when I was 5. And it was a distant cousin. Anyway, she didn't know me. I didn't know her. She didn't know me. And my mother actually went on and said, you weren't there. And so my parents have to understand they weren't together, and I live with my mom. So there's a lot of things that weren't shared, a lot of things that they didn't know what was happening. And so my mom had gone on and she had full on said, like, look, you have no clue. Don't tell me what it's like if my kid's going to die. Like, don't even go there. So she stepped in to set the truth. And the lady she just said, oh, I guess I was wrong. I didn't know her. So here's another level of where when you put stuff out there, especially if you're more public, like I am, or you're in space, or you want to become more public, or you want to just share in your community and you want to help people in your community, and you're putting out what you've gone through. But there's such a gift in that, because when you put out what you've gone through, it's relatability. And you'd be really surprised how many people that you can help. But everywhere there's shame or guilt about really saying, this is what I've gone through, or I don't feel good enough, or I don't feel worthy enough to have that, and you hold on to that, it creates an energetic block in your field, and it creates it to the point where you're not able to move forward. You're not able to actually create the things that you want. So a lot of times I say, for me and my community, it's really important that we create a space for you that's safe, a space for you to look at what's going on in your life, move through that, not sit in it for 10 years, move through it and start to really engage and fulfill what you're looking for, which comes faster when you're in love and compassion and strength within your own body. So with that, it's about moving through invulnerability. So ask yourself where. I want to just do a little clearing here for you guys energetically, and I'm going to probably burp a little bit. So just tune in and ask yourself, where could you be more open? Where could you be more vulnerable in your life, and with who? And what areas? And yes, be discerning, because sometimes you might see that where you've been, like for me, where you're vulnerable and the door gets slammed in your face, and that's your way of saying, I need help to be more vulnerable. Don't shut down. That's not a place to shut down. I shut down, and it actually created a hindrance in creating my life and getting back on my feet. When I was able to open that door, then all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, like now things were flowing. And I had to come to the awareness that that was their issue, not mine. That was really their issue, not mine, based on their connection to their finances and their needs and what was going on in their life. And so when that happens and we can disconnect, that bell, you don't want to hear that. When that happens and you can start to disconnect from that and see I am enough, and say, okay, I can expand into more vulnerability and be open and to be heard. So a lot of people say, well, I was telling you what I needed, or I'm trying to be vulnerable, but they can come with a very manipulative way of doing it, accusational way. That is not vulnerability. That is called trying to be superior, to position yourself. And thank you, God, that is not where you want to be. Vulnerability really opens you up into the heart, the feeling. You don't drag it on over and over. You can see where you made a mistake and somebody else made a mistake. And then you're able to actually move forward with that. And again, we'll remove that energy of rejection where you want to open up. Some people say, well, I don't want to be vulnerable and, put myself out there, say for if you're dating. And then they'll say, what? And like, I don't want that rejection, which then brings up triggers and traumas everywhere a soul has felt rejected. So anywhere that has happened, I want to thank that Hannah God cleaning that up for you. Because when we step into vulnerability, it's really that place of relatability. And now I said the world was going to go sideways this year, and it's going sideways for a reason, to reset into better things. So if you've heard the show before, you've heard me talk about how things are not going to look so good. Don't get caught up in it. We want to stay connected and understand there's a lot more going on. I know in the last couple of days, some people have asked me and reached out about, do I have to go into this place of scarcity? I'm like, no, you don't want to be in there. It's smoke and mirrors if you want the energetic perspective behind what's going on with a lot of stuff you guys are seeing in the media. It's an energetic distraction. So this is a place of saying, I'm here, I'm ready to show up, I'm ready to engage in my life, and I'm ready to be with people that truly will start to see me for who I am. And remember, the more vulnerability you start to create in your life, with ease and grace, the more that, like I said, that humility will come in, and you're going to start to see different things unfold really fast, because that's part of the energetic secret to creating what you really desire. So I love it. Okay, I want to talk a little bit more on that, but I know we have a lot of callers today on the line, 1-800-930-2819. So if you've called in, please be patient. We're going to be trying to get through as many as we can. And always know at our show, we start at 8 a.m. Pacific time. So give our producers a little break. Make sure you don't call in before 8, because they're working really hard. There's a whole little crew back there. So we always have to be mindful that they are. Now, I think, Zach, we have Mel on the line. Is that right?
Yes, Mel from Toronto. You are live on the Tracy L Clark Show.
Pardon?
Hi. Hello?
Hi.
Hi, Mel. It's Tracy.
Hi, Tracy. It's Emilio.
How, Emilio? Nice to meet you. They put Mel there. Okay. Now we got you for you. What's your question for me today?
Listen, I've been having this issue with the blood pressure and cholesterol, and I don't know if it's coming from a fear or where it's coming from, but I've been dealing with it for quite some time.
Quite a while. Yeah, I can see it's been in quite a while. Yeah. Okay, hang on a second. Okay, so let's just see. I do yawn, burp, and gag, so don't get offended. I'm going to go into your system. We'll see what's going on here, Emilio. All right, let's just align you. Right, so we actually do. So there is your blood pressure is linked to things that actually first it creates small like irritations in your life. So we got to go back to actually before this kicked in. So I'm not sure if you know, but energetically, when a physical ailment shows up, it's usually been in the field quite some time before it shows up. So immune system's a little weak, and so we can start to adjust that. But the blood pressure, so it started with irritation, and then where the pressure of life in general just seems like it started to squeeze you in different areas, which then the blood pressure starts to go up. So it's almost like it starts to boil. That's actually what happens. So you're not an outwardly uptight guy. You can see that, right? That's not you. You're not that guy that's going to be like people. Yeah. That's not you. You can see that. You tend to, your field is very compassionate. So you actually tend to, the way it shows energetically, and you can step in here, is that you're stepping back, looking at situations, but almost, oh, there goes your heart. Hang on a sec. How you can help and fix them. Do you notice that? You observe first and then you try to figure out what's next?
Yes.
Yeah. So by doing that, there's a lot of pressure on your heart right now. So what I'm going to do, because that also never always worked out the way in different situations you wanted it to work out, and how people responded to your generosity, your kindness in many different ways. But where it wasn't, it's almost like it latched onto the body. So I call those parasitical energies, or people, places, and things that sit in the body, and it really irritates the system. So if you're okay, I actually want to start to remove the spirit of high blood pressure.
Yes.
Thank you, God. I also want to reset your electrical grids of your heart from the internal and the external. So we have electrical grids on the heart, because we've got to keep that pumping, and we got to start to pull down so I'm going to strengthen you to how you deal with life's pressures. And this is where your guides are very clear that we got to actually get you to be a little more selfish. And a little more selfish, meaning that people don't like that word, but there's people that you have tried to help that, like I said, they don't really see what you're there for or how you're there. They just, no concept. So I want to start to change your perception. So when you're in the world, the pressures aren't going to get to you as much. There's observation, there's clarity. So you'll start to see the people you'll become numb to. And like all you'll say is, you'll figure it out. That's interesting. You'll figure it out. That's interesting. And we're going to take that off your body, because people seem to lean in on you. Like you're like a magnet for people that want to lean in on you to help them all the time. All the time. Yeah. You notice that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you're okay, let's start to change that energetic frequency so we can strengthen you. Thank you, God, to pull the blood pressure down. And then what we'll do is we'll do a clean out between the pancreas, the gallbladder, and the liver. Cholesterol comes in so many ways. Bless you. Comes in so many ways. It's kind of interesting, because I have to be careful. In the medical society, they raise these flags. In the more naturopathic space and the energetic, it's literally they don't raise flags as much. So basically what we have to do is get the organs processing and your filtration system processing differently. That is the energy that's connected first from the high blood pressure. Then the cholesterol came in. So once we get the high blood pressure and you under control with your life in general, so you're really much in charge, and these people, we start to kind of get them off you, because you do look like a football player that's been, and they all stampede on top of you and you're at the bottom of the pile. Yeah. I'm pulling those energies off you. Poor thing. I'm like, oh my gosh. How does that feel now when you tune into your body? Does that feel lighter?
Feels lighter, yeah.
Yeah, it's starting to shift, but the grids of the heart space are definitely the area I want to reset. And then we want to increase the circulatory system, really open up the lymphatic system for the drainage, but really to bring down the pressures of life. So one of the tools I was used was the simple tool. It's on my YouTube, it's on my website. I always say to people, it's thank you, God, reset, let go. You can say universe, divine, whatever, God of your understanding. So you tap on the heart and you do it 3 times when you start to see the pressures. And we have had some people in the States that were monitoring that saying energetically, and their doctors brought it back up to me. And just be mindful, because it does. And so confirm this for me and for them as well, that it releases a lot of toxins out of the body, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically and psychically, because this is now your space, because we want that heart and the valves to be pumping very, very, very strong. And I'm also going to just remove some manipulation energy, some past life energy, an energy that's playing out in this lifetime that you picked up anywhere basically yesterday all the way back. So we can give your body a little bit lighter space here. And then that way, because this is a pattern you've just had pretty much, you came in with it since birth.
Okay.
But I'm going to wipe out we're going to start to remove the accumulation of experiences that really were irritating you, where you weren't seen prior to you actually being told, I have this high blood pressure, because it looks like you had a buildup of about a good 10 years before. And then it kind of went, okay, you're not paying attention to me. You're not changing. And that's why physical issues, I know well, because I had so many come in, is it's when we're not paying attention to what's happening internally and externally, then the body starts to scream, now you're going to pay attention to me. But now, do you take regular medicine?
Yeah, I take a 10 milligram.
Okay, so I'm going to just adjust you a little bit differently also to the medicine. What I say to people, because I've worked with a lot of people with high blood pressure, just watch as well as it shifts. So anyone that you take medicine, you start to do energy work, and you start to let go of the patterns. A lot of people will notice, like I had one lady, she was at home and her husband's a doctor and he knew what was happening. But she actually, after we removed it, she started passing out because her blood pressure had normalized. So the medicine, now she didn't need it anymore, which was great. She went back to the doctor and they're like, oh my gosh, we can lower the dose, and then she was off of it. So I always say with the medicines, I'll adjust you to them, but just be mindful to how your body's reacting. So if it's not feeling as good, chances are you need to go back to the doctor and have them take the test. And you usually 90% of the time people are like, oh, I see it's adjusted. So they need to adjust the medicine for you as your body starts to wean that off. Make sense?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. How are you feeling now?
Very light. I think calm.
Yeah. You might have some strange dreams and some random thoughts. Just let them go. Do that tool. Thank you, God. Reset, let go. And then let me know how you're doing. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Emilio. Have a great day. I'm so glad you called in.
Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. You know what? I love when you guys call in, because as a listener as well, listen to what I'm shifting energetically for, like what we just did with Emilio. And what you can do as well is focus on your intention of what you want shifted, And very, very, very important. So vulnerability. And just like we were talking about with Emilio, with the blood pressure, you could see such a kind, gentle soul. And a lot of times as kind, gentle souls, when we want to be vulnerable, we get misread. And we're looking for that information to come into our body so we can be seen and heard very differently. And that's why I said it's a time for him to be selfish and take back what he needs to do, because we want to get rid of the high blood pressure and all those pressures in life that we're boiling and boiling, so they can start to move over. I like the fact that he's not starting to look like a football player that's been like smashed upon. I would see those football players and go, oh my God, how do they do that? You know, and you see those in the games and commercials, and oh, thank you, God. That was for Emilio and everybody listening. I'm like, well, there's the piece I was waiting for to leave when I was shifting him. So the body becomes a lot stronger. You know, I want to encourage you as well, if you want to be shifted and connected on a regular basis, check us out at tracylclark.com on our online academy. On the online academy, I have multiple programs where I'm live with you either once a week, 5 days a week. So once a week is the effortless round, 5 days a week is the miraculous academy, and the evolutionary is a weekly call, and all our body regen, you get all the trainings in there. But I'm actually with you live every week. Like we are talking for a good hour and a half, and shifting and seeing what's coming up. And why did I do it this way, people ask, is because we're in a world where it is going sideways, and we're in a world where we need constant connection, and you can't do it alone. And I vowed we would always have a place to help you, because things are moving all the time. You don't think I'm moving myself all the time too? And I'm like, thank you, God. And I'm feeling so blessed. And that's that vulnerability I had to get through to help you get to where you want to go. So I know what it's like when you don't want to share everything, and you don't have to. You can be discerning. But also remember, when you step into that space, miracles really do happen, but you got to believe it. And your body is brilliant. Your body will start to respond like you never thought possible. So thank you, God. Gone are the days of sickness, illness, disease, unless you want to choose it. And I really believe it because I walked through it. So I'm here with you on that. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be coming right back. I believe it's Rajiv. I may have said that wrong. I apologize if I did. Can't wait to hear you from Calgary. So we'll be back right after the break, going directly to your call. So love you all. You know what? Our new listeners, our older listeners, you can always listen to our replay on Transformation Talk Radio. But I don't know if you know this, but we have 90 outlets as a syndicated radio show. People always ask, where can I listen? So we do put it on YouTube, but iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, there's so many of them. Just subscribe and you can listen and never miss an episode and keep getting your shifts and clearings. Because like we were saying, the world is changing. It's a little bit interesting out there, but it's important that you listen to what your body's saying. It's important you stay connected to the God of your understanding and really embrace what is yours. Like it's time. This is all about empowerment. This is the time for you understanding your words, getting you healthy and getting you strong. That's what this year is really about, and stepping into another level, no matter what you see going on out there. Like I said, don't believe everything you see out there. Trust, know, and believe that with your connection, you got some pretty cool transformations happening. So many things can happen when there's chaos around you and you won't be involved in it. So let's thank that hand of God that we're all going to go in that direction. All right. Now, I think, Zach, we have Rajiv on the line. Is that correct?
Yes, Rajiv from Calgary. You are live on the Tracy L Clark Show.
Hi, Rajiv.
Hi, Tracy. How you doing?
Good. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
You sure did.
Oh, awesome. Okay. I never like to mispronounce people's names because that's not polite. What's your question for me today?
I was diagnosed with a degenerative muscular issue about almost 8 years now, and just dealing with some of the weakness in my body. And I'm just wondering if there's any other background issue or anything you can help me with.
Yeah, you were quite young when that came in. Okay, so let's just take a look. I'm going to go all the way back. So there is imprinting, meaning that the cell memories picked up information and energy within your family line. Where, and here's the energy that it's tied to. Hang on a second, let me make sure I'm following this right. Hang on. Okay, we have to clean up autoimmune. So there is autoimmune clear. That's actually past life, and that's this life. So past life energy is energy that comes into the body and shows up where your body recognizes that vibrational frequency and starts to play it out in this lifetime. So I do have to start to remove that. But there also seems to be, and you can tell me as a young child how this felt for you, because this is where we're going back to, that kicked in the autoimmune, that kicked in the weakness in the body. Where it looks to be showing is issues with assertion and to authoritative figures. So authoritative figures are parents. They can be grandparents. They can be, people you see as doctors, lawyers, people, teachers, any of that, where they made you feel not, it's funny, we're talking about vulnerability, but not being able to be fully you. So there's a big part of the body that got trapped. So it's literally like watching you trapped inside of yourself. How does that feel when I say that, from if you go back to where you're really small?
Pretty accurate.
Yeah. And that's why your body became very weakened, and we can start to remove this. So the body became in a habit and very weakened, because also what happens is when we create something more serious in the body, it's also a way of self-preservation and protection, which keeps you very trapped in your body, right? And you physically become trapped in the body because you can't do the things you want to do all the time. You can't have that freedom and that flexibility, right? The body doesn't give you freedom and flexibility on a physical level, which then goes into the emotional level. So can you just actually tune in to just bring up for you the people that you would deem as authoritative figures in your life that made you feel less than, trapped, not good enough, all of these emotions. And it went into the muscles. And remember, as you know, right, when we need our muscles and our bones to be strong, to stand, to move. And the more they become weak, right, the less we have in mobility. So let's start to remove this energy, if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
Hang on. So what it did was it started to weaken you in every area of your life. So the body started to come into more, I better please people, or I might have an outcome that I don't know how to handle. Do you notice that as a kind of a pattern in your life?
Yes.
Yeah, and then you shut down, and then you close up, and then you keep it all inside, and then you start eating away at your own body. You don't like being vulnerable. You're very scared to be vulnerable, aren't you?
That's pretty accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm proud of you. You know how proud I am of you? It takes guts to call in and say, I'm ready for help. I'm ready for something different. Like, I don't know if you know this, but less than 5% of the population would do this. This is a huge step. I have chills for you. And I'm going to start to adjust this because it's a huge step to say, yeah, and I'm tired of eating my own body away because I can't get anything out. I don't want to deal with conflict anymore. I don't want to deal with the stress, because when you were small, any little bit of conflict or stress, you didn't do well with it. It literally it was trauma. That's how your body read it, was trauma. And it can be as simple as don't do that, because you have such good sensitivities. As simple as words like that, then you can see your pattern in life, which I'm going to start to disconnect, started to put you in places where you became very competitive to yourself. I mean, like comparison and judgmental. So it's almost like you just closed everything up. You close the door and you put a lock on it. Are you okay if I start to unlock this?
Yeah.
Yeah, good job. I'm very proud of you. Okay. So I'm going to move some manipulation energy, some soul ties and agreements where people took pieces of you, and these are the people that are close to us, people that we've been intimate with, people that, there we go, over our lifetime took away parts of us, but we also allowed them. So I'm going to disconnect that. I'm going to bring your pieces back to you. Anything you took from them, we'll give to them. I'm going to restructure you, and we're going to, with your family, both immediate and extended. And I'm going to also remove any accumulation of energy caught in the field. Oh, hang on a second. They're saying remove the toxins. We have to I got to go slow. Okay, so I'm going to start to remove toxins out of the body. Now, we have to start to remove the toxins so we can start to override and strengthen the muscles, the joints, the ligaments, to start to become strong, and your inner power to become strong. Now, I will warn you, when we start to open up the lymphatic system, like the lymph ducts, the lymph nodes, so your toxins can start to come out. Toxins are not only physical, but they're mental, emotional, spiritual, psychological, psychic toxins, meaning that you can get more frustrated with people if they feel like they're pushing the boundaries. It can happen. You can have dreams and thoughts of people you haven't thought about in a while. And what you'll start to see also is if you still have people in your world that don't allow you to be fully vulnerable, they will irritate you and frustrate you more. But it's a good thing, because it's your body saying, Rajiv, step back. Wait a minute. You are powerful here. Don't give away your power. We're resetting you. It's okay. We got you. That's what your body's saying when you do that. So if you're all right, it's okay if you smell too. It's okay. Sometimes people are like, I smelled when you did that. I'm like, good, get the toxins out. There we go. And I'm going to thank that part of the hand of God of resetting you, so we're not overthinking and overanalyzing too much as well. That's what happens when we trap ourselves in our own body, right? And it becomes weaker and we get weaker. We trap ourselves in our own body with our mental thoughts, and then it becomes this virus, like you just put some crazy Trojan virus like in your computer, right? And it starts shutting everything down. So I'm going to start to think that power of the hand of God, I'm going to increase to turn on the light switches as well into the body of the organs, the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons, the joints. And we'll start to also recenter the right side of the brain to the left side of the body, the left side of the brain to the right side of the body. And I'm just going to actually clean up your meridians very quickly and the central nervous system. So what I'll do for you is because we've always limited time, but what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to also set, we call them programs, but they're information that runs through the system. I think you got for a period of time. Yours looks like 12 days to really go deep into that immune system to start to clean it out some more. So there can be, like I said, that's where you can have little bits of reactions, but it's very positive because the body's got to get those emotions out. How does your body feel when I do that? How do you feel? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel like a weight's been lifted off my shoulders.
Yeah, you can feel it starting to lift off and just be. And there's a really good exercise I want to give you if you can do it, is just get a pen and paper and just start to go back to where you were really small. And I don't care how you say it, but I was really pissed off at this. I wish you'd done this. Or I was really angry at this. I wish you had done this. I wish I had stood in my power. It doesn't matter. Just keep writing words like that. Point form doesn't have to be an essay. And then usually what I say to people, when you're done, take it. Actually, if you can, when you're done with it, email my office at contact@tracylclark.com. And then just say, hey, I was on the radio show. I finished that letter, and then I will tell you what to do with it. Okay. And I'll spend some energy for you so we can get this out of the body quicker. Does that sound good?
Okay.
All right. All right. Let me know how you're doing. I look forward to seeing your note that you've done that exercise. No pressure. No, when you're ready. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a great day. Thanks, Rajiv. I'm so proud when people call in like this, especially with being vulnerable, because when we've had conditions for a long time, it takes a process as well. Some things go right away. Some we go through it a couple of times. But I can tell you, when we start to connect, I would say thank you, God, all the time. Because one thing I learned when I was shifting my whole world, and if you know my story, I had a lot of illnesses, but I was born with a lot, right? And then they just kept coming over and over. But when I really anchored into what my definition of faith is, trust, no believe, there's something much bigger out there guiding the ship. So I say God, you might say something else. And what I noticed is that when I really came into this connection and I started to let go and I became vulnerable and I was really understanding what Spirit was telling me, my body became more free. My body became, and naturally it was starting to repair. And this is what I love, because even I had a great medical team and they were like, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it. I don't understand any of that. Keep doing it. So we're still a small space, but when you call in and say, I need help, thank you, God, you've already started to change your life. So remember that you've already started to change your life. So I think we have such a list of people here today. So the next one we have is Doreen on the line. Zach, is Doreen still there? I know we're missing people along the way. We're trying to catch up.
Yes, we got Doreen from Toronto on the line.
Hi, Doreen.
Hi, Tracy.
Hello.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. I'm usually not available on Tuesdays, and I am today, so I'm so excited.
Oh, I'm so glad you were able to call in then. That's perfect.
Yes, thank you. So I've been going along, and I'm really doing well, and I noticed yesterday my inspiration, motivation, it just bottomed out. I've had a couple of no's. I'm looking for work. I've had a couple of no's.
Yeah.
And then I go into this, blah, blah, blah. Is this ever going to work? That stuff.
Your self-talk and self-story. Okay. So I am going to do, it seems like you've plugged yourself back into a space of, I know I want to look for work, but I still actually enjoy not this whole work thing. So hang on a second. I'm going to unplug that cord from you. Just a minute. And then the no's aren't hitting you as much as you think. They're only hitting you about 30%. Whereas if I look like 6 months ago, it would be hitting you like 80, 90%. And I got to actually start to pull in more people that understand what you're actually looking for and how you can help them. So hang on a second. It's almost like that's the piece they're still missing, is how you benefit what they require. Okay, hang on, let's change this so they can pick this up with you. But the bigger one I gotta move is this. I actually do like not working all the time anymore, but that it's a love-hate thing, so we want to increase the inspiration. How does that feel when I do that?
Yeah, that feels better, definitely. Like it opens up things.
Okay. Yeah.
I guess my mind gets activated. My mind's like, well, what else am I supposed to be doing? Do you know what I mean? I've been doing lots of coffee chats,
Yeah, you're doing
networking. I've asked people
volunteer.
for
Okay,
help.
what do you do for your ask? Because that actually seems like a disconnect in your ask. So you do the coffee chats, you go. So when you say to people, you know, if they're like, hey, I'm looking, if you know somebody, let me know. What do they say when you say that?
Sometimes they say, oh, well, sure. But also some of the feedback I've gotten is they don't know how to help me because I'm a bit not very wide open about what I want. I don't seem
Yeah.
to want to crystallize it. I don't want to put myself in a box. I hate being put in a box.
Yeah. So when you're looking for things, make sure you're also adjusting the resume specific for that area. And then when you're meeting with different people, let's align you to be very specific for what you know they do or what they could help you. So let's, even though like one person might be one story, the other person might be another one, but depending on where their fields are, because you know you can help them. There is some past life energy that actually, as you were talking, just came up around work, your lineage, your family that's playing out in your life right now that's actually stronger. And for some reason it got anchored in, it's almost like I'm going to put it under a curse. Hang on, witchcraft spells, black magic. Let's pull this off. As you know, it sounds worse than it is. So thank you, God. I'm going to just pull this through. I'm going to remove this from top to bottom. Top to bottom. Top to bottom. Thank you, God. And let's open that and command that new work, command that right opportunity. Let's see how your body, yeah, when I go to put in the right opportunity, your body's giving us pushback. So let's just see here. Who am I to have the right opportunity? If you had your dream position, because you never know who's listening out there and anybody wants to hire you and they hear that. What's your dream position?
Well, somewhere where I make a difference, I would love to be part of a team that we're all doing whatever it takes to get the job done. You know, outside the box thinking, project management, event planning, those sort of things.
So project management and event planning would make you happy, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's anchor in areas around project management and event planning that would make you happy because you have skills in there, you've been there, that's what you love doing. So let's start to anchor that and increase that vibrational frequency for anybody looking in that area that requires somebody. And ideally, it looks like you would like to do the project management and event coordinating under a much larger corporate umbrella structure versus like a small company. So let's just, and we'll open both, obviously. We'll just go where your body's going. There we go. There is something that I will pull out that there's I don't know if it's conscious or if it's just in the subconscious, but there's a lot of programming here that there's always somebody better than me for the position. So why bother? So do you say that or have you had those thoughts?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start to remove that saying. I'm going to pull that all the way out. And where you've been told in your life that why bother, there's always going to be someone better than you. Are you okay if I remove all of that? Thank you, God.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, let me bind that, cast that, curse it out. Where those roots and seeds. So some of that is coming from other lifetimes. It's just playing out right now. Some of that looks like it's played out from when you were a little girl. There we go. We'll remove that. So even amongst your family, you always felt that there were people that were better than you within your family. So why me? Don't look at me. Don't see me. Don't pay attention. So let's highlight the resume now differently as we pull all of that out. Thank you, God. And I'll reset this. And then I'll just change the vibrational frequency of the heart. How does that feel in the heart and the mental space now when you tune in?
That's you really hit on that piece that you pulled out just now. There's someone better. Why bother? Oh my gosh, so anyways, that's great to have it gone.
Yeah, and when you look at that saying, does that feel way better in your body? It's still dissipating out. So it's going out very quickly. Thank you, God. But that might make some emotions as well. So remember that, where it might be, oh my gosh, remember that. And it's not true. So when you do the simple tool, thank you, God, reset, let go into the space of, like, that is not true. I'm pretty freaking amazing. And people say, well, why would you say that? Because when you start to say things like that with the Reset Let Go tool, Reset Let Go, what happens, as you're well aware, is it really gets that toxic, stinky space out of the brain, out of the mind, out of the body. And then the body starts to go, yeah, you know what? There is that for me. So what I'd also like you to do is start to just feel, just tune in for a minute, just feel that energy just coming towards you, like, oh, it's yours. Like, do you want this? You know, that feeling. How does that
Yes.
feel now when you're like, you can feel that offer coming through and can we hire you? Truthfully, how does that feel in your heart?
Oh, my heart feels very open
Yeah, yeah, much
and
more
high in my
open.
heart. It's very, like, there's excitement.
Yeah, that's that creative flow that people forget. That's where we create. And when we're in our brain too much, we create blockages. And it's just the reality. And look, we're all trained to think rather than feel. But when we feel, vulnerability comes in. And I want to open that spirit of vulnerability a little bit more. So you can go to someone and say, you know what, like, I'd really like to work here because of this and this. And although you may not see all of these things I have to offer, I want to show you what I have to offer and why me. And when you come from that space with humility, people will start to look more and go, ah, yeah, you probably are the right person. So no more getting looked over. Stand up tall, stand up strong, and stand up for you. Are you ready to declare that?
Yes, I am. Thank you,
Yeah.
Tracy.
Thank you. Good. You're welcome. Let us know how you're doing, okay?
I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You know, we've come to the top of the hour. I know we still have multiple callers on the line. So if we've missed you, I apologize. Please call in next week and we'll hope to get you on air. It does happen. We only have so much time, so many people. I want to just really, again, reiterate this vulnerability piece and to really remind you how amazing you are. But also, when you're not vulnerable, those negative emotions that become numb in our body, the emotions that cut us off, guess what happens? You don't get to feel the good ones. And when you feel the good ones, the toxicity starts to come out of the body. And if you're only feeling numb and negative emotions and you're not able to be vulnerable, you're going to get sick. One of the big things right now that a lot of people suffer from is like heartburn. Heartburn is not being in tune of what you're swallowing, what's going on around you, and just burning up in your processing center. But we hear so many ailments, and so many ailments are coming into people's bodies right now because they're numbing emotions. So as much as people, you know, they'll say, get rid of your limiting beliefs. Sure. Get rid of those information that you no longer require. Absolutely. But remember, feel all of them, all of them. They're meant there for a reason, in and out. And the more you come in to the feelings of joy and peace and harmony and love, I get it. Because I used to live 99% in hate or anger or frustration and poor me and martyr and what's going on and sickness and illness. And when I got rid of that and moved over, people say, why are you so happy? Because I've been on the other side. So I'm happy to get out of bed. I'm happy to enjoy the world. And no matter what's going on in the world, it's a better place. And my body went, hey, you want to be happy? I'll be happy with you. And that's why a lot of the miraculous transformations happen. So if you'd like more, we're here every week, Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. You can check us out on all the outlets. And I also want to encourage you to check out our Soul Sunday service. We run them once a month, and they're online or in person. If you're in the Toronto area, they're in person. And we do a clearing and a shifting. Our next one is March 8th. All donations go to our TLC Initiative Fund to help people in our community and outside in need. And the other great thing about it is we're going to be talking about your words, how you can use them differently, a teaching, a clearing, an activation, and you can ask questions too. So live interaction for 90 minutes. So I hope you'll check us out for our Soul Sundays. Have an incredible week. I will see you right here, same time, same place. And as always, we follow the energy. There is no script. So you'll see the next week's show posted shortly. Have an incredible week, everybody. Lots of love, and we'll see you then.